All right. Hey, everybody. This is MTM coming at you from my office. This is my very first Facebook Live, and I'm super excited to be here with you. Hello to the person who just sent a message. And what we're going to be talking about is actually how to take our dreams and turn them into reality. So I polled you guys, you said this is what you wanted, and now here we are. So it's day one. This is going to be 5 days of taking your dream to reality, sharing some of the things that I've discovered in my own life and that I've used with my clients. So just for those of you who don't know me, maybe you joined this group and you don't even know who I am. My name is Megan Taylor Morrison, and I am a life and business coach. And I also run a company called Dance Adventures that does dance expeditions all over the world. It's my dream company, and it took me 8 years to start it because I was terrified, which is actually going to be the topic of today's discussion. So last night, I wanted to start out with a little story. I was at the Lindsey Stirling concert, and for those of you who don't know her, Lindsey Stirling is actually this incredible musician who's also a dancer, and she plays the electric violin. And we were there, and the stadium was absolutely packed. It was full. And she was telling the story about how she went on America's Got Talent, I think, and they told her that she sounded like a dying rat playing the violin and that she'd never fill a stadium. And last night it was completely full, and she had this amazing show where she dances on stage and plays the violin. She has a band, and she has backup dancers, and it's really flippin' awesome. So, moral of the story, like, if she'd actually listened to these people, she never would have stayed in the ring and played. And now she's on, I think this is her 5th tour. So, with that in mind, let's talk a little bit about the first step to making our dreams a reality, which is to address the fear that's keeping us stuck. And if you're one of those people that's like, oh, I don't have any fear, I don't have any issue, like, I'm just stuck, I don't know why, you've got some fear that's lurking in there, even if you haven't identified it. So, remember one of my clients felt really stuck around starting his business. And it wasn't until we realized that there was a fear there that when he started his business, that eventually he would just get stuck in the same spot. Like, he'd be stuck back in a day job because he'd start this business, it would grow, and there he would be back at the desk again when his real value was freedom. So until we discovered that, he couldn't start his business. So we had to really look at that fear and address it and create a new reality around it that made it work. So, same story in my own life. Like, before I could start Dance Adventures, which took 8 years, I had to look at my fear of failure, my fear of judgment, my fear that my parents wouldn't like what I was doing, my fear that maybe, like, I wasn't a good enough dancer to start a dance company that traveled all around the world, which, I mean, I'm not really good at half the dances we do, but, it doesn't matter because you don't have to be perfect to start a company. You don't have to be in the perfect place to start a company. So, what we want to do today is go through a 5-step process. And the first process is to really sit and get intimate with your fears. So what are the fears that are keeping you stuck, that are keeping you from doing what you actually want to do? Is it that you're not good enough? Are you afraid that you'll never make money doing it? Are you afraid that you'll be stuck back where you didn't want to be? That it'll get boring after a few months? Like, what are the fears that creep up when you think about taking your dream into something that's a reality? So think about that and write those down. And the second step is this little mantra that I like to use, which is I release these beliefs to honor my highest self and my true potential. So actively stepping into that and saying that out loud to yourself after you've identified those fears. So I release these beliefs to honor myself and my true potential. So the next step is to write about what you see as an objective observer. So if I were doing this with Dance Adventures, what that would actually look like is saying, hey, like, I know people who have started really weird businesses before that have totally worked and nobody thought they would work, but they did. So maybe, like, my fear of starting this business because it might not work, like, it could have been their fear too, and I'll never know unless I start. So really taking on that third party. You may even think of it as like a mentor or someone else that would be listening in on your internal process. Like, what would they say about it? Richard Branson brought an airplane. People thought that was crazy, and now he has, Virgin Atlantic. So there's all sorts of evidence that we can find in our lives that actually stands contrary to our fears. And yet that's not what we think about a lot of times. A lot of times what we think about is how much evidence there is that our fears are totally correct and totally confirmed. So The next step is to get in touch with the vision. So write out what you see for yourself at the end of the road. Like, what is it that is driving you to actually pursue these dreams despite the fear? So here's one of mine that I want to share from the Dominican Republic, since this is still an exercise I do with all sorts of things. So my vision for the Dominican Republic, which is our trip coming up in February, that will fill, is I am in Santo Domingo, and I am watching our travelers have their first merengue dance out on the beautiful tile dance floor. And they're smiling and laughing, and our Dominican friends are taking exquisite care of them. And the band is freaking amazing. And I'm full of excitement to be back in this beautiful place that I've dreamt about taking people for months. And I look over and I see Kat, who's my trip leader. And she has a sangria in her hand, and we both get these huge smiles on our faces. And we're just talking to each other saying this trip is already amazing, and it's just the first night. It's the first night of the trip. So that's my vision, and it's a place where I go in my head to connect to the excitement and the joy rather than the fear, like, oh, what if this trip doesn't fill? Like, it's not a good place to be or to connect from. Hi, Q. And so that's where I go. Every morning I light some candles and I sit there and I think about the vision. And that's the final step, is to turn on some music, close your eyes. If you're stressed out about time, set a timer, 1 or 2 minutes, and get lost in that vision. Think about the colors, the emotions, think about all the stuff that's there for you, because that's the space where you actually want to create from when you're taking things from a dream to a reality. So there's 5 steps. I'm going to reiterate them for anybody at home who's going to try this. 1, write down the fears. 2, use the mantra, I release these beliefs to honor my highest self and my true potential. Step 3, as an objective observer, note what you see. Step 4, get in touch with the vision. And step 5, meditate on that vision. So glad you're liking it, Q. So these are my tips. And I want to hear about how this goes. Give it a shot. Give it a try. And we will do another video tomorrow. So hope you guys have a great evening, or rest of the day and evening. And I'll talk to you later. Bye.